Hello. Hello, beautiful people. Tribe of many colors. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Let's get the move started with a little bit of reggae. Ooh, we gotta ease that soul. Yes, we gotta ease that soul.
Out in the street, they call it murder. Hey, hey, hey. Yes, I. Yeah. World of reggae music on ya. Keep me rocking with me data. World of reggae music on ya.
Hey, Antonia.
Never know, sir.
Good to see you always. Beautiful,
Hey, now
Antonia.
just be nice and hold your space.
Just rock out with me right now.
I won't entertain no more disgrace.
Why?
Out in the street, they call it murder. When rhythm's spacing out your head. World of reggae music on ya. Keep me rocking with me data. World of reggae music on ya. Never left you, never know, sir. Yes, I. Yeah. And I'm singing how man feeling. Man singing goodness gracious I. 10,000 rhythms feeling. Now it makes a spider kiss a fly. World of reggae music on ya. Keep me rocking with me data. World of reggae music on ya.
Hey, Big 1111.
Lord, that us taking me water.
Gotta change the vibe today, boy.
Yes, I. Yeah.
Yes. We're gonna lift some spirits today.
Hey, now just be nice and hold your space. I won't entertain no more disgrace. Out in the street, they call it murder. When rhythm spacing out your head. World of reggae music on ya. Keep me rocking with me data. World of reggae music on ya. Lord, that us they give me water. World. Keep me.
Gotta feel that rhythm, baby.
Hey, hey, hey. Yes, I. Yeah.
Hello, beautiful people. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here, Antonia. I see you with your beautiful self. Big 1111. I hope you're having an amazing day. And if you're not, we're going to distract you for a minute. We're going to distract you. If nothing else, we're going to distract you. So you don't have to think about all that negativity right now. If you need a break from it, come on in and let's take a break. So today, I want to start off with some of the messages I've been getting. Lots and lots of downloads and uploads of information, inspiration. Okay. And one of the first things that they wanted me to talk about, I got three things written down here. First one is, don't let the hurt of another ruin your love for self or the one truly meant for you. And I was like, okay. They said don't expand on it. When the time comes, I'll tell you what to say. So I'm showing up, and here it is. It's going to be a live channel because I don't know what they're trying to say behind this. So don't let the hurt of another ruin your love for self or the one truly meant for you. Sometimes in life, people going to hurt our feelings. It's going to hurt real bad. Some of us were still holding on to hurts from high school, grade school, of people who've rejected us, cheated on us. This is more in the scenario in the realm of lovers, partners, very deep friendships, okay? Relationships, but particularly love. When people do their best to hurt you, they're trying to ruin your ability to love yourself and your ability to love the person who's really meant for you, okay? Because if it's not going to work out with you, then you're going to be so damaged that your true love is never going to recognize you. That's the attempt. So the best way to shift that, especially if you're still holding on to hurt from a past love, the best way to move out of that space is to work on loving yourself so you can build that up again. And when your self-love is maximized, you're going to draw your true love to you. Because right now, a lot, a lot of you are waiting for your true love and they can't recognize you because you're so hurt. They know what it should feel like when they're with you, when they're in your presence, but your hurt is like a porcupine or a repellent. It doesn't allow their energy to come close because it's a barrier. So when you work on building that love within self and being in a positive state as often as you can, reinforcing your thoughts with positive things, shining from a space of your absolute beautiful, it reduces that barrier. And then all that love that's been waiting to come in is just going to flood into your zone. Okay. So for somebody, look at the way you're holding on to a past hurt, especially if it's from a past love, and work on finding the lessons you were meant to teach each other and focus on that so that when you look back on the relationship in your mind's eye, it's not with that ping of anger or hatred. It's now with release and love because you understand the purpose that you two served each other. Okay. It's important now to focus on the reason why, not why it ended, but why you were together. So focus on the meaning and the togetherness instead of hyper focusing on the ending, because that can be a space where you can stay stuck. All right. I'll get my pen. That's number one. Number two, portals are opening all over the world. And it says explain portals on body and connection to the stars. Okay. So what I'm getting from that is this. There are going to be a lot of physical portals opening up all over the world. They're going to be in mountains. They're going to be in water. They're going to be in, much like the pyramid, in old chambers and cave systems that are going to open. And when they say in the water, there's going to be like these massive holes or entryways that start to open underneath the ocean, like on the ocean floor. And that is how new species can come through from spaces under our seas. First of all, they're saying there's oceans layered on oceans with different density. So our ocean has the density that we can maneuver through a little slowly, but we can still maneuver through it. Underneath our that layer of ocean is another ocean that has different species of animals and living things, and their density is so great that if we tried to swim in that water, it would feel like sludge. That's how dense it is. And then it continues and continues and continues. And sometimes there are shifts and earthquakes, tectonic plates that move. There's a barrier between the oceans that loosens, and that's how some of our ocean life forms transition into their space, and some of their ocean life form transitions into our space. And that's how we end up finding new species of things, or the weird things washing up on the beach. And those are some of the ways you can start to tell when portals are opening up in water, as we start to discover new species. They're saying in the mountains, spaces in the mountains might just open up and it's like that was never there before, and now there's a space there, and it's a cavern and it leads to something. So it's just portals are going to start opening up all over because of the awareness that we have as a collective. It's increasing, and when it increases, we're able to perceive and interact with different things. Okay. If you want to understand portals from the perspective of the human body, it's much like Chinese medicine, or how things are connected with nerve endings. So in Chinese medicine, let's say the big toe is associated with the brain. I think it is, I'm not sure. But so to um, maybe reduce tension in the brain, or to allow things to flow better in the brain, you can massage the big toe, right? That's the way that portal works on the physical body, is that you can be at the toe and affect the head because it's connected. You see what I'm saying? So it's a way to traverse a vast distance in a short space of time through the connection of the nerve endings. So that's how portals can be on our body. You ever hurt yourself on your elbow, hit your elbow, or hit your finger, hit some part of your body, pinch some part of your body, but you feel it somewhere else? That's an example of a portal on your body, where the information of pain or discomfort can travel quickly across a meridian to a completely different side. You see? Portals work the same way. As above, so below, as within, so without. So if the earth is a body, there's parts on earth where we can connect to and enter in and end up on a completely different side of earth. Or now in the bigger spectrum of the universe, end up on a completely different galaxy or planet. So portals are real. They really exist. They found them before. Okay, with a little bit of research, you can see that for yourself. And they're going to start to open up again. Okay, so that's wanted to come through. Next, we have focus on the magic of humanness to reduce fear and distraction. Learn human history to dispel false perception and unlock your records. Okay, so the magic of your humanness that allows you, so when you hear terrible things on the news, or you can tell they're ramping up the distraction, and fear is trying to creep back into your space, You have to remember how magical you are, because to remember your magic is to remember your power. And when you sit in your power and stuff's going on around you in the news, in your community, it's not a dissociating. You're not dissociating from the reality, but you're able to handle this reality with confidence because you know what experiences you're going to have. So you don't have to fear the experiences other people are having. You have that level of confidence, that level of interaction, because you're a co creator. And co creator means you create your experiences. And when you are fully anchored and confident in being able to create your experiences, you're not afraid of the experiences other people are having, wondering now if it might be coming for you. You see what I'm saying? You're confident in what you're creating, and it gives you peace of mind. And ultimately, we all want that. We all want a peace of mind. All right. That's all the uploads I was getting. Just wanted to share that with you. And now I wanted to jump into the birds. The birds, the birds, the birds. I'm going to tell you something I saw. The other day, I took my dog out for a walk. So I go out, taking him for a walk. I see something glistening in the sky. Now, every time I go outside, I'm always looking up. If it's nighttime, I'm looking up, looking at the stars. If it's the daytime, I'm looking up, I'm watching the clouds and the planes. I'm always looking up. I go out, I take him for his walk, I look up, and there's something shimmering in the sky. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just seeing something. And I see the pattern flicker again. And I'm like, what is that? I walk up closer to the street. I have a video of it. I don't know if it'll come out clear, but I'll post it and see if you can see what I'm seeing. And I'm like, what am I looking at? You know, your brain is trying to register what you're seeing. And then I stop and I notice, and I'm starting to see these geometric patterns flicker through the sky and disappear. And it forms again and it creates another pattern and it disappears. And then I realize I'm looking at hundreds and hundreds of birds. And they're in a formation creating these designs as they move across the sky, but they're moving and turning. So it's making the sunlight reflect off their feathers at different intervals. So sometimes they're dark and sometimes they're light. And as they're moving in these patterns and shifting, it's the most amazing, dazzling display of birds I have seen in years. And I've been looking at the sky since my eyes were open. And it's been a long time since I've seen birds do that. And they were moving horizontally like this and spinning and disappearing and creating these patterns and spinning and disappearing and creating these patterns. And as I'm just standing there watching them, then they start to spiral upwards like this. And they're just going like that. But the ones at the top, they would go dark because of how the sun is hitting them. And then the ones at the bottom would come in very light. So it looked like it was slow moving fireworks. And I watched for about 5 minutes and they were just spiraling and spiraling and spiraling upwards. And I was like, wow, if that ain't a message. If that's not a message, I don't know what is. So I decided to say, okay, universe, 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 why did I see these birds? So I went a little deep diving. And I'm going to share that with you. I'm going to share what I typed and looked up, and then I'm going to share what the personal message was for me. All right, y'all still with me? All right, thank you. And Tony, I still see you. All right, let me find my thing here. Okay. Birds, birds, birds. So I asked AI, I said, AI, why do birds spiral upwards in a huge flock? It says when birds spiral upwards in a huge flock, it's usually for one of these reasons. Number one, thermal soaring. Some birds, especially large ones like hawks, vultures, or storks, take advantage of thermals, which are rising columns of warm air. They spiral upward within these thermals to gain altitude without flapping their wings, saving energy. Once high enough, they can glide long distances. Number two, murmurations, which I guess is done by starlings. How funny, starlings. When smaller birds like starlings flock together in giant fluid formations called murmurations, they sometimes spiral or rise in coordinated movements. This can be a response to number one, predators, number two, roosting behavior, or number three, communication. Now, if it's for predators, they said they're doing that to confuse them with the sheer numbers and motion. If it's roosting behavior, it's them getting ready to settle for the night. And if it's communication, it's just for them to maintain group cohesion. Okay? So the third reason that birds might spiral is migration behavior. Some birds spiral upwards to catch a wind current or gain enough height to start a long migratory flight. This is often seen at migration bottlenecks where birds wait for optimal conditions. Now, it asked me what kind of birds I saw. I said I saw some large white birds. So they said it was most likely pelicans, storks, white egrets, or herons because they use thermals. So it says white storks and American white pelicans are gliders, and they use the thermals to gain altitude, just like hawks and vultures. They circle upward in groups without flapping much, then glide off in the direction they want to go. Now, for them saving energy with spiraling. These birds are large and heavy compared to smaller flyers, so they conserve energy by riding columns of warm air instead of constantly flapping. Okay, so I asked the question, what are some of the mythological, folklore, or cultural beliefs about birds spiraling upwards? And the reason I always ask this is because science explains a lot, but it doesn't explain everything. Myth and folklore explain a lot, but it doesn't explain everything. So just combine them to get the full picture. So I always like to know the scientific reason, but also the myth and the folklore because that's what we had before science. So actually, science had to have been born from what was the original thing. And the original thing is what we now call myth and folklore. So it just makes sense to find out both reasons to get a clear picture. Okay, so I said, what are some of the mythological, folklore, or cultural beliefs about birds spiraling upwards? It says, great question. Birds spiraling upward have inspired a lot of symbolism across myth, folklore, and spiritual traditions. That graceful rising motion tends to evoke connection with the divine, freedom, soul journeys, and omens. Here are some cultural and mythological takes. Number one, ascent of the soul. In many traditions, birds flying upwards in a spiral symbolize the soul ascending or transcending the earthly plane. Spiraling motion, in particular, mimics the movement of spirit ascent or enlightenment, common in shamanic and mystic traditions. Number two, connection to the heavens. Cultures often saw birds soaring high as messengers between the earth and the sky, between humans and gods. In ancient Egypt, the Ba, a part of the soul, was often depicted as a bird flying upward, especially at death, symbolizing its return to the divine. Number three, omens and portents. Large flocks spiraling upward could be seen as omens. In Celtic lore, birds circling or spiraling in the sky were prophetic signs of change, journeys, or even coming death. Native American tribes often read bird formations as signals, both practical, like changes in the weather, and spiritual, like warnings or blessings. Number four, sacred geometry and spiral symbolism. The spiral itself is a sacred form in many cultures, representing evolution, cycles, and cosmic order. A flock spiraling upward can be seen as nature performing sacred geometry, aligning with divine movement or universal patterns. Number five, dance of creation. In Sufi mysticism, the spiral, like the whirling of dervishes. I think the dervish are the ones who they have the hands out and they're constantly spinning, and they kind of have this gown that kind of flares out and they just spin all day, spinning, 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 spinning. It's like a type of meditation. If I'm correct, I think that's what that is. All right. So in Sufi mysticism, the spiral, like the whirling of dervishes, is a form of prayer and creation. Birds moving in spiral flight can be viewed similarly, enacting a cosmic dance, especially in poetic and mystical interpretations. Hey, Frida people! It's so good to see you. Cheers to all. Thank you for showing up. All right. So I said, is there a culture that gives meaning to the geometric patterns and birds? Yes, several cultures deeply connect birds and geometric patterns, especially spirals, circles, and waves. These patterns aren't just decorative, they often carry cosmic, spiritual, and metaphysical meaning. Let me say that again. We're talking about cultures and the symbolism of birds and geometric patterns. And it says spirals, circles, and waves. These patterns aren't just decorative, they often carry cosmic, spiritual, and metaphysical meaning. So now I want you to think of cave paintings or from cultures where they had jars and they would just paint these amazing scenes on jars. And I want you to ask yourself, in all the time you've ever looked at cultural art, how many times have they shown patterns of spirals, circles, and waves? And now think about the fact that they were trying to leave behind a message. They weren't just decorating jars, and they weren't just painting and etching into stone for no reason. It was art and science at the same time. Their art was their science. So when you see like little things like that of waves and spirals, and people think, oh, that's just a primitive way to say water or the sun. Mm-mm. These people were highly advanced and they were leaving it behind, their messages and their predictions and their stories and what they understood about cosmic alignment. They were leaving all of this in art in a way that they thought we would be able to understand. So it wasn't simple because they were simple. They made it that simple, hoping we would get it. It's like when you learn something really, really advanced and you're hoping to break it down simple so that even the youngest amongst the next civilization can understand it. That's how they wrote and decorated and created art. It was their science and their story and their history and their predictions and their guidance for us. Okay. So maybe look at art, cultural art, a little differently. Okay. So it says here are some rich cultural lenses where birds and geometry equal something powerful. Number one, the Celtic tradition. Birds were seen as messengers from the other world, and their flight patterns were thought to reflect the invisible energies around sacred places. Spirals, knots, and interwoven lines in Celtic art weren't just symbolic, they mirrored the motion of birds, water, wind, and spirit. The triple spiral, or the triskel, I think, or triskeli, I think it's triskel, found at sites like Newgrange, reflects cycles of life, death, and rebirth. Birds in flight were seen as moving through these cycles. So, next we have the Native American traditions. Many indigenous people of North America observed bird formations and interpreted them as sacred geometry in motion. The Lakota and Hopi, for instance, recognized spiral patterns in nature, from tornadoes to bird flocks, as signs of spiritual movement or life force, like the Great Spirit's breath. Thunderbird myths often include spiraling or circular flight, representing cosmic power, storms, and the movement between worlds. Okay, make sure I got my space. Islamic and Sufi mysticism. While Islamic art avoids figurative imagery, geometric patterns dominate, symbolizing the perfection of divine creation. In Sufi mysticism, birds represent the soul, and the spiral pattern, like the whirling of dervishes or birds rising on a thermal, reflects the soul's journey back to the beloved or God. The Persian poem, The Conference of the Birds, uses the flight of birds in formation as a metaphor for the soul's collective journey through stages of understanding. Ancient Egyptian beliefs. Birds like the ba were shown in flight over sacred symbols, ankhs, spirals, or sun disk, indicating soul movement, transformation, and divinity. The rising motion toward the sun or heaven was often geometric in concept, orderly, divine, and eternal. So far you're seeing all of these cultures have something very similar, is that the birds are always connected to the soul, the spirit, the breath of life, the movement of Earth's energy. And to me, it's all the same because the soul is the breath of life and it does come from Earth's energy. It's all connected. We say things differently, but we're all saying the same thing. Indigenous Australian songlines. Though more abstract, song lines, which are spiritual and geographic paths sung by Aboriginal people, often map both physical and spiritual journeys. Birds in flight, especially in formation, were thought to follow and mark these invisible tracks. The spiral and wave motifs. The spiral and wave motifs in Aboriginal art may reflect bird motion, wind currents, and dreamtime energies. Now, I ask it to create images of what it would look like from all these cultures: Egyptian, Sufi, Native American, Celtic. And I have those saved. I'm going to post them after this video. Look for it in my community post to see what I created based on the spiritual meaning of birds for these particular cultures. I think I'll add like a message to it. So you like pick a bird, get a message. They're beautiful. These pictures are beautiful. I love them. I don't really talk about the pictures I make, but these ones, yeah, I love them. Okay, so it mentioned a Persian poem, right? Let's see. And the Persian poem is called The Conference of the Birds. It didn't want to give me the whole thing, and I didn't get a chance to look it up, but it did give an excerpt from the poem. Okay, and this is I think it's a Sufi poem. Yeah, called The Conference of the Birds. Here's the excerpt. This is the journey of the soul, from self to selfless whole. Each feathered wing must shed its pride to find the light it holds inside. So I think if you're drawn to that little piece, go ahead and look up that poem. It's called The Conference of the Birds. It's a Sufi poem by Farid Ud Din Attar. FARIDUDINATTAR. Okay, with me so far, Free the People, Antonia, Big 1111. All right, let's keep going. So I said, summarize the poem for me. It said, here's a summary of the poem. The birds of the world gathered to find their true king, the Simurgh. The wise Hopal becomes their guide and leads them through 7 valleys, each representing a spiritual stage. The quest, love, knowledge, detachment, unity, wonderment, poverty, and annihilation of the ego. After much loss, only 30 birds make it to the end, and there they realize they themselves are the Simorgh. It sounds interesting. I'm going to look it up after this. All right. So I said, it keeps mentioning this Simurgh bird. So I'm like, tell me about this Simurgh. It says, the Simurgh is one of the most majestic and meaningful creatures in Persian mythology, a cosmic bird of wisdom, healing, and divine connection. It appears in Persian epics, Sufi mysticism, and even Zoroastrian lore, often carrying profound symbolic weight. The key traits of the Simurgh. It's a mythical bird that's the size of a mountain. It has feathers of many colors, often shimmering with light. It's said to have lived for 1,700 years and to have seen the destruction of the world 3 times. It dwells on the tree of knowledge, Gaikerina, in the mythic Alborz Mountains. It combines traits of peacock, dog, and lion, blending beauty, loyalty, and strength. It's associated with healing. Hang on. Okay. It's associated with healing, and its feathers can cure any illness. In Sufism, the Simurgh represents God, the higher self or ultimate truth. In the Conference of the Birds, when the 30 birds reach the Simurgh after their long spiritual journey, they realize they are the Simurgh, a reflection of divine unity. So I thought that was interesting. All right, let me see if there's anything else about the birds. And let me see what else I said here. It asked me, do you want me to write a short poem or myth-inspired scene featuring the Simurgh? And I said yes. So this is what AI wrote. It wrote a little poem called The Feather That Fell. Long ago, when the earth was young and the sky still remembered the songs of stars, there was a king who sought all the knowledge of the world. He climbed mountains, drank from sacred springs, studied the tongues of beasts and winds. Yet the more he learned, the more he hungered. One night, he dreamed of a vast bird, radiant with 1,000 colors, its wings brushing both moon and mountain. The Simurgh. When he awoke, a single feather lay beside him, warm with light. The king took it as a sign and began a journey to find the Simurgh. He crossed the valley of mirrors, where his face split into many, and each reflection spoke a truth he wasn't ready to hear. He passed the desert of unknowing, where his name dissolved in sand. Finally, after years, he reached the foot of the mountain of Koth, said to be the resting place of the Simurgh. There, the feather in his hand dissolved into flame and smoke, and he vanished. When the villagers climbed the mountain later, they found no king. But in the sky above, a spiral of birds rose together, shimmering with gold. And in the heart of that spiral, for just a moment, they saw something vast, with wings older than time. It is said the king became the Simurgh, as all seekers do when they stop seeking. And I was like, yes. Yes, you are going to become the very thing you are looking for. And that's going to be the twist of fate. Is that all along what you're searching for, you are. But the journey had to bring you to that realization that in the seeking, all the experiences you have, you end up becoming that thing. That's going to be beautiful. So when I saw that spiraling, okay, the message personally was you are evolving. That was the message for me personally. The message for the collective is we are ascending. It is happening. Everything you worked so hard for, all the times you wanted to give it up, but you didn't, it's all culminating into this huge awakening for you, this huge awareness, this huge change. And life is never going to be the same. It's going to be better than you can ever imagine. And that was the message for the collective is life is about to get really good for you. Don't absorb fear, don't absorb negativity, and just let it come. Let it come. Okay, and now the final thing we're going to talk about. How far am I? 42. All right, I'm on time. I'm on time. All right. This is going to be about, this is for Robert. All right, he isn't here today. But Robert Myers, he was one of the first ones to mention a goddess to me when I kind of put out that we should all study a goddess. He wrote something about goddess Eir or Eir. I've seen the pronunciation both ways. It's Eir, which could be like air or Eir. I like Eir. But it took me a while to do this. I didn't think it'd take that long because when I try to channel some energy, sometimes the answers come quickly, but she took a while. She took her time. She gave in bits and pieces because she's not just trying to teach, she's trying to heal. And that's how she shows up. Goddess Eir is a healer. And her healing will start long before you meet her, long before you know her, because her energy can travel in spirit and start healing you before you even come into contact with her awareness. So the moment you start to seek her and to understand her properties and her way and her nature, you're saying, I'm moving into a space of healing. All gods and goddesses hold the energy we're looking for. And as we move closer to understanding them, we're literally using them as a tool to unlock something within us. And that's how in the seeking you become the thing. because the thing you're seeking is just a tool that unlocks your own greatness. All right, so last time too, I gave a little tidbit of what she said. And this was her affirmation. She says, learn your path, honor the sacredness within you. Remember, the first union is nature, nothing else. Your return is imminent. Honor your call when it comes. So don't be afraid to hug that tree, walk barefoot, start being your weird, unique self, okay? You hear the birds, you hear the birds. Okay, if you can hear the wind, the ancestors in the wind, that's what you hear. If you can talk to the water, you can talk to the water. You can't be afraid to say that that's what you do. All right, we're not going to deny that we are children of nature, and however you communicate with nature, strengthen that. Don't hide that because of what people might think. Okay, because the reason our return is imminent is because we are here to help to balance things. So there's no more hiding. If you're a daughter of nature, she's calling you out. Come on out. It's time. The first goddess I did was um, Calafia, and Calafia showed up with protection, and she gave me, this motion of protection. This goddess is healing. She came to me with the message of cleansing. Okay, it's very important for her to cleanse. It's like I'm always getting images of her in a water cleansing, and she had a cleansing ritual where she would walk into a body of water, the ocean, the lake, and she will pull the water up over her head to heal the body. And she would, not to heal the body, to heal the mind. So she goes, cleanse the mind. She dips again. She says, cleanse the body. And the third one, she pulls from the heaven and she says, cleanse the soul. But it's either a pulling down and crossing or a pulling down and sealing. This is seals. This is not religious. This is natural, spiritual. If you understand healing points in your hands, right? You have healing points here. If you could see them in spirit, they would be spinning with light. You have them in every fingertip. That's why when you do mudras, you can bring balance to your body, to your mind, especially. If you're somebody that you always have a racy mind, start doing hand mudras. Select anything that feels good to you, okay? Sometimes people will give you mudras to do, okay? Let's see this one here. Sometimes people will give you mudras or show you hand mudras in books. That's what mudra worked for them. You develop your own. Just play with your fingers and see where, when you rest them, what feels comfortable to you. Okay? And when it feels comfortable to you and you kind of relax into the mudra, okay? You're going to feel where in your body it starts to affect you. Either you feel energy flowing more to that area or you feel tension release. Practice your hand mudras. But when you draw in like this, to draw energy in, and you come here, you're creating a balance across the body with this motion. You're balancing left and right hemisphere. And energy is flowing through your palms, through your fingertips. And you create a circuitry, a balance of energy with this. So cleanse the mind, cleanse the body, cleanse the spirit. And so it is. So either way, come in, cross, come in to the heart. And where you place this is important. okay? Because you don't have to just hold it up, you can hold it down. And you could place that energy at your womb, at your root, so it can come up or go down. You're just directing the energy in your palms to the area that you need it. Okay? So let me tell you what I found out about Goddess Eir. Goddess Eir is a relatively mysterious and fascinating figure in Norse mythology. And Robert, this is for you, so thank you. She is best known as a goddess or Valkyrie associated with healing and mercy. Here are some key details about her. The meaning of her name. The name Eir translates to mercy or help, which aligns with her healing nature. Her role and attributes. Eir is considered one of the most skilled healers among the gods and goddesses. In some sources, she is listed among the Aesir goddesses and in others among the Valkyries. She is associated with life preserving magic, herbal medicine, and possibly even midwifery. Sources. So they're talking about where they got the information from, which was the Prose Edda and the Vjolvin Schma. Okay, I'm gonna mess that up. Vjolvin's small poem from the Poetic Edda. I'm not even gonna try again. Okay, her symbolism. Air symbolizes peaceful, restorative power, a contrast to the more warlike aspects of other Norse deities. She may have served as a patron for healers, wise women, and practitioners of Sedir, which is Norse magic. Ambiguity. Scholars debate her exact role. Was she truly a goddess, a Valkyrie, or both? Norse mythology isn't always consistent, so she may represent a blending of roles. Okay, so I said it's not much about her to find. So now I had to go into asking the AI some questions, kind of trick it a little bit. So I said, if Air was around today, what would she be doing? And what would her practice look like? It says, love that question. If Air walked among us today, she'd absolutely still be a healer, but with a modern, holistic twist. Here's a vision of what her life and practice might look like. So, Air in the modern world, professionally, Air would likely be a naturopathic doctor, herbalist, or even a functional medicine practitioner, someone who bridges science with ancient wisdom. Think a modern day medicine woman who's deeply respected in both medical and spiritual circles. She can run a healing clinic that combines herbal medicine and plant based remedies, energy healing and Reiki, breath work, acupuncture, and chronic pain therapy, trauma informed care, ritual and spiritual coaching for soul level healing. So this would be her aesthetic and her vibe. Her clinic might, this is for the clinic, sorry. Her clinic might be tucked in a quiet, forested retreat center or nestled in an urban sanctuary full of plants, softly playing Nordic instrumental music, candles scented with juniper and sage, and shelves filled with apothecary jars labeled in runes and Latin. So we're hearing what she would look like, even though I had to put a modern spin on it to get the information. So when they're telling you about her now, just imagine that's how she was then. So technology would meet tradition. She'd embrace modern tools like DNA testing, wellness apps, and wearables, but always through the lens of wholeness, intuition, and ancestral wisdom. In the community, Air would most likely host moon gatherings and healing circles, train other healers, advocate for mental health, women's health, and holistic accessibility. She would travel to war torn areas or disaster zones to offer healing and spiritual support. still a kind of modern Valkyrie tending to those close to death or in deep suffering. In her personal life, she'd be solitary yet deeply connected. She'd be one of those people who you meet once and never forget. Maybe off grid when she needs to recharge, but always return when she's needed the most. I said, what would her attire and her vibe be? Says her attire and vibe would be unforgettable. Modern, grounded, but radiating ancient, otherworldly presence. Let's paint the picture. In aesthetic, think Earth Priestess meets minimalist medicine woman. Her look is rooted in nature, but clean and intentional, never flashy, always powerful. Flowing layered fabrics in muted tones, moss green, deep charcoal, bone white, rust, soft breathable materials like linen, organic cotton, and wool. Long open cardigans or shawls that move like mist when she walks. Runes subtly stitched into her cuffs or the hem of her garments. Protection, healing, and insight. Barefoot or in soft leather boots. When in nature, indoors, no, she's either barefoot or in soft leather boots when in nature. Indoors, maybe soft soled shoes or none at all. Minimalist jewelry. She'd wear minimalist jewelry, but it would be meaningful, like silver rings with Norse knotwork, a pendant shaped like a Yggdrasil, or maybe a small vial of herbs worn on a chain. She'd probably have a belted satchel or pouch with her healing, with which are her healing tools of tinctures, salves, and a worn leather notebook of remedies, dry herbs, maybe even raven feather. So this is her vibe, this is her energy. Calm, grounded, deeply perceptive. When she enters a room, the energy shifts. People instinctively lower their voices. She listens more than she speaks. And when she speaks, it's measured and wise. Her words feel like they carry centuries. Her presence, she smells like cedar, myrrh, and something ancient you can't quite place. She looks into people, not at them, like she sees pain and healing both at once. Kids and animals are drawn to her. So are those who are hurting. The modern archetype blend for this goddess. A bit of a witchy herbalist, a trauma-informed therapist, and a slow-living minimalist, and a Nordic mystic. So that's all of what she'd look like. A witchy herbalist, a trauma-informed therapist, a slow-living minimalist, and a Nordic mystic. You can imagine her being friends with forest rangers, neuroscientists, and witches alike. So I said, if she left behind a paragraph of wisdom for humanity, I said, what would she say? Says, absolutely. Here's what I imagine Eir might leave for us, a quiet but powerful message for humanity. You are not meant to race endlessly toward healing as if it were a finish line. True, healing is cyclical like the seasons. There is a time for stillness, a time for rising, a time for falling apart. Honor each. Tend gently to your wounds, not with shame, but with reverence. They are the places where light has asked to enter. Remember, the body speaks the language of the soul. Listen to its whispers before they become screams. You are not broken, you are becoming. That was beautiful. So that's where I left it off with AI. And I think that ties in also to this message I was getting from my guides, which is they're saying, know when to slow down. Don't treat your body like a car that runs all the way to E and then has to break down on the side of the road, and then you got to get gas. Don't push yourself to E every single time. Go half a tank, go quarter tank, and then fill up. Don't, no more crashing. Don't go to the space of crashing and rebuilding. Crashing, you don't have to do that anymore. Now start to recognize when you're running low, when you're depleting, and take that time to boost your energy. No more pushing your body, pushing your mind, pushing your emotions all the way to E. Okay? No more running on empty. Take care of yourself. Okay. Her final message. This is what now she said to me. She said, "We are moving," and it's going to be very interesting. Listen, I know why it took me so long to write about her, because I'm like, okay, I got the motions. I was working that out. And I was like, okay, what's the kind of a final message? Because that's the thing now. The goddesses, when they come to me, they give me this final message. And I couldn't figure out what it was going to be. And I was just feeling bad because I just felt like I had Robert on the runaround, just telling him this thing is coming. But I'm like, it has to come together just right. And I came across old paperwork with things I've scribbled, right? Because I'm trying to put that stuff together. And on that paper from January 30th, 2022, was a message. And when I read the message a couple days ago, that's when this goddess said to me, that's what I wanted to say. So I wasn't getting anything now because I had already written it. From January 30th, 2022. And it sat there in my stuff. Boxes, unboxed. It was boxed up, unboxed. Over here, over there, ended up all coming together for this. So this is what it said. We are moving in the direction of triumph. Our responsibility is to be bearers of the light. Carry forward all your love, compassion, and humility. Transcendence is reflected in you. Let me read that again. We are moving in the direction of triumph. Our responsibility is to be bearers of light. Carry forward all your love, compassion, and humility. Transcendence is reflected in you. And I'll leave it there. I think that's all she needed to say, and I'm going to honor that. I'm right at the hour mark, so I'm happy I didn't go too long. I appreciate whoever is still here, and I'm going to close out with this last little oracle card, Beyond Lemuria. So keep evolving, keep growing. There's going to be a lot of distractions. Every time humanity hits a space of critical mass to evolve, the distractions start. The distractions start. Every year, you notice? Every year, the distractions begin. And certain parts of the year, it ramps up. Because every time, if you could feel into the energy of humanity, we're rising and it's happening quickly. And every time we culminate in a group, in a soul energy vibration, and we start to sing, they bring in the distractions to anchor in the fear. So now it's going to be a challenge to live fearlessly, but you have to do it. Wherever you have fear, root it out. Because then it gets to a point where when you see the things they're trying to throw at you, you recognize it for what it is and it doesn't bother you anymore. So this is where it's time to live fearless. Let's see what this card says. Okay. A whole bunch of them fell, but this is the only one that fell standing up so I can see the words. And this is the image. And this is what it says. Okay. It says crystal keys. Lemurian quartz crystals are special pieces of clear quartz said to have been encoded with great knowledge for the spiritual evolution of the human race. This card is about deciphering wisdom codes. Be inspired to find the wisdom hidden in times when you feel triggered. There is so much information within our raw and intense reactions that when you choose to be present and peel back the layers, great spiritual insight will unveil itself in a way tailored just for you. Wisdom comes through inner paradoxes. Be awed in creative flow or a state of surrender. These crystals may be powerful keys to your spiritual evolution. So find you a Lemurian quartz crystal. And how I know this is an amazing message? Because I just so happen to have one around my neck. I kid you not. I've been wearing this combination of crystals for a couple days. And it's just now that I realize what I have. Let me show it to you. I paired it with, this is the Lemurian quartz crystal. Okay, so it's shaped in this kind of pyramid shape. And I've been pairing it with, this is a piece of moonstone. This one always has nice feminine energy. And I've been pairing these two together. I just go to my crystals and I'm like, okay, which one of you two want to be together today? And I just pair them together. And I've been had these paired together now for about 5 days. And I've gone to bed with it. The only time I just take it off to shower. But if you get you a piece of crystal or you call to work with a piece of crystal, work with it for several days. Wear it as often as you can. Sleep with it on or put it under your pillow. Because sometimes when the crystal is called to work with you, it needs a couple days to do its job. If it's especially if it's one that absorbs negative energy or is trying to bring balance and clear energy, you got to wear it for a couple of days. It's kind of like medicine. You got to take the medicine for a couple of days for it to be in your system, for it to work. Crystals are like that too. So choose a particular crystal, work with it for a couple of days, and see if you don't start getting into that space where you feel like things are decoding for you. You're evolving, because we are those birds that are spiraling up. And the reason they spiral up is to catch those high rise winds so they could just glide and they don't have to work so hard. So that's what's coming next for us. We don't have to work so hard anymore. We're going to catch that updraft and we're about to go vast distances with little effort. That's the message here. Overall, you don't have to work this hard anymore. Life doesn't have to be this hard anymore. It's time for you to glide. You've earned that. You've been working your ass off. You earned that. Okay? Yes, and sleep with it under your pillow. Yeah, I love this deck. This deck is called Beyond Lemuria, Oracle Cards by Izzy Ivy. I got the pocket edition, so they're very small. But the artwork on these cards, man, these cards are beautiful. That one. Let me find another one. That one. This one. This is some beautiful art. Look at that. I'll show you this last one. So if you like that deck, I suggest you get it. I love working with cards that are beautiful because it reminds me to be happy. Remember, everything that children need is the last message. I'm not going to run over too late, but everything that a child needs: play dates, bright colors, music, right? When you want your baby to be happy, you're giving your baby everything. They hand painting, okay, bright, beautiful colors on the wall, magical scenes of unicorns and fairies and bright colors. And look at all the things that the child requires to really be happy, all the things they want to explore and learn and see. The tactile, how important it is to touch and understand things. All of that a child needs to feel whole, fulfilled, and happy. It was never just something you only need as a child. This is all the things we need throughout our entire growing experience. So make sure you're surrounding yourself with beautiful, bright colors, that you're dancing, that you can be carefree, that you're having fun again, especially if you have a partner or people in your family who are just like big kids and they're always trying to play with you and maybe you don't want to play with them, or your kids are trying to get you to play and you don't want to play with them. Listen, they're trying to remind you of your own childlike nature, which is very important, that your child, your inner child is nourished. It stays playful. It has new things to experience and learn. It sees beautiful colors. It wants to be carefree and dance and just enjoy music. You have to nurture and give honor and create sacred space for that child. It's not always just this quiet and namaste. Okay, sometimes you gotta let your inner child out and be free and happy and try new things and be in a space of just honoring that part of you. Okay, that's very important. So I'm gonna leave it there. I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for kicking it with me. If you're catching me on the replay, I love and appreciate you. All right, and I'll go ahead and post those pictures of these birds right as soon as I get off. Okay. Love you, Antonia. I love you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. You're so beautiful. Always glowing in the morning with your bright, positive messages. Free the people. I appreciate you. Thank you. I hope you have a blessed and beautiful day. Big 11 and 11. You're awesome sauce always. I love you. All right. Thank you. And I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye.